What's up, YouTube? It's Carolina Calvin coming back to another video. And I said I would do this spoilers video. I got my boy Mitchell, got MG here. MG saw the movie today. Am I right, MG?
Yeah, literally when you hit me up, I was like walking out of the movie.
All right, so we're gonna talk about spoilers. I already did my non-spoilers video, so if you have not seen the movie, check that out. But if you have, come here, look at this video. Wonder Woman. Now, of course, you looked at my other video. This was a good movie. Pet peeves with the movie that we're gonna get into, but I'm gonna get these guys like scores or whatever they score it. But I think this was easily the best DC Cinematic Universe movie, and honestly, the bar is set kind of low. Let's just be honest. Man of Steel, I like that movie. I don't know if any of you other guys do, but I like Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad. No. You know, didn't particularly like those movies. But Wonder Woman was great. I felt as though, to me, you could honestly argue Chris Pine was one of the best. He did probably the best job in this movie. Legitimately, it's the funniest DC movie. You wouldn't even expect that, seeing as Wonder Woman's a fucking, you expect a bunch of action. Wonder Woman's a warrior. You don't expect any kind of jokes from her. But it really didn't necessarily come from her, per se. It was kind of her interaction with Steve Trevor, which that was Chris Pine's character. And I felt as though, the dialogue was good. The visuals, at least to me early on, was good. At the end, that's when I think I felt as though it became a little bit of an issue, at least jarring from the visuals. But the whole World War I setting was great. Kind of, it reminds me of a lot of the first Captain America movie. Of course, that was World War II. But I do like the setting. I do like how the Wonder Woman character, it kind of shows, at least in the cinematic universe, kind of how she, sees the regular world, because she was secluded on the island Themyscira. She didn't have any exposure to the regular world, the corruption, the violence, destruction, all that. But you see her kind of grow as a character and become essentially the character we saw in Batman v Superman. But Gal Gadot did a great job, and I felt as though a lot of the casting outside of Eisenberg has been really good for DC. Now that's one thing they haven't really gotten credit for. Henry Cavill as Superman. Ben Affleck, who I think most of us had an issue with him at the beginning, but he turned it around for a lot of people. And Gal Gadot, most of what her was not a lot of experience, and she was really skinny. Still is, but so what? Wasn't Linda Carter skinny back in the day? So I mean, but what did you guys think about the movie? Whoever wants to go first.
MG, you just saw it, so you got the fresh thoughts.
Yes, you do.
Overall, you know what? I would probably say this is probably the best DC cinematic movie since Dark Knight Rises, the second Batman. Obviously that's.
Are you talking about Dark Knight, the second one? Or
the second one. My bad. The Dark Knight Rises third, but the Dark Knight. To me, this is probably the best DC movie since then. Now, obviously, this is a new DC universe that we're in, so I agree with Calvin with this being the best out of the current cinematic universe. I thought the movie itself was fucking great for the first, I'd probably say the first 80% of the movie. Chris Pine, you could argue out of this new cinematic universe that not only was he the best actor in this movie, but next to Michael Shannon, probably out of anybody so far.
Yeah, he was great
in any of these movies. Like, you could legit argue he's been the best actor. It gave him the best performance, so to speak, in any of these movies so far, next to Michael Shannon as Zod. I thought the imagery of it was great in the beginning. I thought, obviously, I'm not a fan of Zack Snyder. I can sit here and talk about that till I'm blue in the face. He
wasn't necessarily involved. Like it was, I can't remember the lady's name. She used to be with Marvel. She wanted to do it was a standalone Marvel movie with a female lead, she can never get that. So of course DC got her. And she,
Are you talking about the director?
Yeah,
Patty Jenkins.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Snyder was involved though.
Go first.
So going into it, you obviously when you know he's involved, you look for those certain Snyderisms,
It was
and
great.
they were avoided for, like I said, the first 80% of the movie, and then they reared their ugly head at the end of the movie. I didn't like the whole Mandarin angle, like Iron Man 3 Mandarin angle for the villain. That part bothered me. The CG at the end, another fucking fighting in a fucking blackened cave, lighting situation for the final fight. I would like to get a final fight that isn't, shot like it's in a Blade movie. That would be cool. But overall, outside of that ending stretch of the movie, I thought the movie was great. Actually, time flew by pretty fast. It didn't feel like 2.5 hours. It kind of almost left you wanting more, which is hard to sit there and watch a movie, and then when you get done after 2.5 hours, you're like, I wouldn't have minded it. I wouldn't have minded if it was 3 hours. It wasn't a movie that I got sick of, which is really good.
Yep.
I thought the writing was good for the most part. Acting was solid for the most part. I thought this was a home run for DC, because they needed something good to come out, especially
This movie had
not
to
just
be good.
yeah, especially for just their reputation, because a lot of people are down on DC right now, and so they definitely needed to hit a home run. And I think, and I'm not gonna if you're just a moviegoer and you're not really like a critic of superhero movies per se, you're gonna think this movie's probably a 9 out of 10, maybe a 10 out of 10, just because you're not necessarily familiar with the characters. But I mean, for me, being more familiar with the characters and kind of being a comic snob, I guess you can call me, it still was great, but didn't live up to complete expectations. So I still thought it was good though. Definitely rewatchable.
Oh yeah.
For me, man, I think this movie is historic. I think this movie goes up there in terms of, we'll be talking about this movie in the confines of superhero film history, with Superman 1, with when X-Men and Spider-Man came out, with Dark Knight, with even Logan, on like turning the page in the history of superhero films, because this is the first time ever we've had a female lead in a superhero movie where it was actually good. And it was really good, in my opinion. Like you guys said, you talked about best movie since Dark Knight. I think it's right there. It's very close to the standard of even the Dark Knight trilogy, which stands alone basically in superhero film history. But I think we're going to be looking at this movie as a really good one and a classic. I think it really has that ability. I thought that basically everything in this movie was what I expected, and even more from Wonder Woman, what I wanted. This is a challenging character to get down, and they definitely did a really good job with it, from its comedy to its action, the portrayals of the characters. You guys brought up the performance that Chris Pine had, and I think you could argue that Chris Pine is arguably the best love interest in any superhero movie ever. What do you guys think?
Let me think.
I mean, there's maybe Lois Lane in the first Superman, second Superman. The other ones, I mean, there wasn't a great love interest in The Dark Knight.
No.
Well, yeah, because
A lot of people really didn't like Mary Jane in the Spider-Man movies.
Weird.
You could argue that he was arguably the best, because not only was it Wonder Woman's movie, but it was Steve Trevor's movie too. Like these two characters were treated like equals in the movie, and I think that's what made it work so well. And they worked off each other so well. And also, I think that this movie kind of, with the way that it did its comedy too, it kind of had to be addressed. Obviously, you have this Amazon chick who's super hot. You kind of got to address, the elephant in the room. I thought the comedy was really well done. Like you guys said, I thought the action was pretty good. There was especially one scene in the middle of the movie that I really, really liked in terms of the action. The end, the big complaint for a lot of people is the ending. And I can see where you guys are maybe a little frustrated with that, or at least MG is, and the Zack Snyder kind of touch there. But I don't know, like, I always think about it like, it's going to be dark because it's a war, and it's the Great War especially, and everything is dark and everything is like it's not going to be sunny, and it is at night. I don't know. I don't think it affected me this much in this movie like it did in Batman vs Superman, because when I watched this movie, I was just so into the characters and what was happening with Wonder Woman and what was happening with Steve Trevor that I wasn't really looking around at the visuals like, okay, what's going on? Is it dark? Is it light? I was just like, oh, is Steve Trevor going to sacrifice himself? Is he going to be alive? What's Diana doing? Like, I was too into the characters and the story. And I think that relationship at the end of the movie kind of saved that area of the movie. I do understand why you might not like the last 20%, but I thought this movie all the way through was pretty great, especially for an origin story, which is very hard to do.
Yeah. I think like the problem I had was not necessarily the lighting, because it was supposed to be like a covert mission, so it was already nighttime. It was the effects for me.
Oh, they got bad at the end.
Yeah, like and this scene is how the effects started. So the movie had good effects. If you look at when she was fighting in that town, and she was fighting all the soldiers, that shit was great.
You know where it got bad? That scene and as much as I love the scene as a overall, because I thought it was fucking badass, the scene where she said, "Fuck this, I'm marching across the enemy lines," and she was shielded up, and there was that one moment at the end of all of that where she stood up and looked around. It's the shot you see from the fucking trailers, and you could visibly see the green screen behind her. Like, it was like it was just like, oh, okay, that was a slip, and I thought it wasn't gonna be a big deal. I was like, it's just a minor slip. Yeah. So it was after, she had the shield, and she was down on the knee or whatever, and they were shooting her, and then after they got done and she stood straight up, you could see like it was complete green screen behind her. Like, they didn't blend it well, should I say. Like, not saying you could see the actual green screen, but they didn't blend it well where you could tell she was, separate from the actual scene environment. Yeah. So that was the first place I noticed it. But like I said, I thought it was just going to be a, okay, small slip up, shit happens. The movie's been great up to this point, I'm not complaining type deal. But then you get to the end and I'm like,
that the choreography was great, especially in the beginning. We saw the Amazons training and all that shit. That was great. It's just the constant slowdown. I'm thinking, what is this, The Matrix? So there's nothing wrong with slow down. You actually get this. It kind of makes it dramatic.
I think that's like what they're trying to do, though. I think that's what their signature style is trying to be, though, because they did that a lot in all the movies that they've done so far.
Was it done a lot in Batman v Superman?
I think so, and plus Wonder Woman is really fast too, so it's hard not to do the slow down thing.
But
I don't know. I understand what you mean.
Yeah, because like when they're on the beach, they kept doing like this slow mo. Like, I have no problem with it, but like when you do slow mo, then you speed it up, then you do another slow mo like right after that in the same motion while she doing the same motion. I don't know that.
Yeah, it would make more sense if it was like Flash.
Yeah, because Flash.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see a lot in Flash. Well, they do it a lot on the TV show, so.
Yeah, you're gonna see a lot of Flash because you literally visibly can't see what the hell the guy's doing anyway. So you're gonna see it a lot in that. But that's a small complaint at least. But the CG one at the end, I would say, is my only real big one. But the rest of the movie, great. I enjoyed all pretty much the rest of the movie because it wasn't. We knew it was gonna be a god. That's mostly because she doesn't have a. Let's just be honest. She doesn't have a bunch of villains. Most of her villains are the pantheon of gods. And the god was motivation for her to come to the war or whatnot, to come to London and everything. But it was about her interacting with that world, a world that she only heard stories about. She wanted to see, is it as really as bad? She felt as though humans, all the issues that were going on with people was because of Ares. Yeah. And she found out that wasn't true. People, there's some people just inherently evil.
The villain isn't really Ares. It's Ares, but it's also like her trying to deal with mankind and like what her thoughts on mankind, you know?
The realization
that's kind
that
of
man is actually, can be inherently evil. I think that is what they definitely were able to show in this movie. So, next movie they're gonna have to definitely ramp it up in terms of the villain. But I felt as though what they did in this movie, it was about her. It was mainly about her.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because honestly, this is, out of all the movies, this might be the shortest fight scene between villain and hero at the end of a movie.
Yeah, well, how long did it
versus the true villain, that is, because obviously you had the first guy who everybody thought was Ares, and then boom, here comes this other guy. So I mean, it wasn't that long of a fight at all.
To be honest, though, it was kind of refreshing because usually we see like the villain fights the hero once, and then the villain wins, and then they come back, and the hero beats the villain at the end. Like that's usually what we see. But I feel like if this was maybe the second movie, I would probably complain about that a little bit. But because it's the first movie and it's the origin story and you're trying to discover this character and the world that she lives in and all this stuff, I feel like the villain is kind of like a side piece. And the villain doesn't take as much of the limelight in like the second movie or the third movie. Because the second and the third movie is more about introducing this new threat to the hero. But the hero is the first movie.
Yeah. That was what I didn't like. That's why I didn't like Iron Man 2 or 3. Because we knew Iron Man. We knew Robert Downey's Iron Man. Give us a villain. Give us a story. Raise the attention. And, those why those movies fell by the wayside.
I mean, part of the reason I had an issue with it is because I did have such high hopes for Wonder Woman that I kind of wanted I wanted it to break from the mold of what every DC and superhero movie have been doing in terms of the bad villains, which has been not just DC but Marvel as well. As a whole, the villains have not been overall strong. You can probably point out maybe 3 or 4 villains that have been really strong out of all these movies.
Zod.
Yep.
Loki.
Joker.
Yeah, we're going back to Dark Knight. Yeah.
Are we talking about the Dark Knight or no? I didn't know if that was in the conversation.
I mean, Dark Knight. I hated Bane in Dark Knight.
Well, I thought Bane was really good.
No, we're just using the current cinematic universe movies because I think there's enough of them. I think they've been really weak, at least. Like you said, it's like only like 3.
There's probably 3.
Yeah, Loki, Zod.
It's kind of one of those ones where it's like I wanted to break away from I wanted Wonder Woman to break away from that mold, and the same thing with the final fight scene as well, where it's like all DC movies have that final fight scene that is just shot at pitch black midnight, and I'm like, the beginning of Wonder Woman, like the first hour and a half of this movie was so visually beautiful. Even the scene where it wasn't necessarily like sunny, but when she was coming across the the field, it was still gloomy, but it was still visually great and lit well. And they go to this fucking final fight scene, and it's lit the same way as it was in Dawn of Justice, and I hated that. So I was like, they had such a great chance to really. I mean, they already set themselves apart with even just the first hour of the movie. That's how good the movie was. But I wanted them to completely separate from the rest of the pack and say, this is the new. This is what it's gonna be.
The new standard.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a new standard, but I feel like they didn't get all out of it that they could have. Where they got 80% out of it for me, where I think they could have got closer to the 95 to 100% range. No movie's going to be perfect, but they could have gotten closer to like the 95% range.
Yeah.
I will say this. One part of the movie that I really like that I haven't been seeing from a lot of superhero movies is that they took the time to like have these like long stretches without action. Like there were probably like 3 big set pieces in this movie. Probably the beginning, the middle, and then the end. But there were long stretches where they just developed the characters. They had them going through situations where they didn't really need to fight, but they were just like doing these scenes where we got to know who these characters were and what they were about. And I feel like that's missing from a lot of superhero movies nowadays. But I really like that aspect of this movie. Did you guys notice that too?
Yeah, I think with the action scenes, the fight scenes actually being as good as they were, it made it passable. Because if the fight scenes weren't good, then it would have been like, there wasn't enough action. But because the fight scenes were so solid, I mean, I can't remember what scene. I think when they got into the town and she lassoed a dude in the air and then she fucking hit the spin kick on him. I said, shit. That was fucking badass. Like, so I think because the action scene, and even when me and Calvin were talking about it earlier, when they fucking leapfrogged her ass into the fucking tower with the fucking shield, and she just destroyed the building. That right there, like, see, like the action scenes that they did have, it made up for them not having as many because when you got to it, you knew it was going to be good.
And they were memorable too.
Yes, they are.
But like even that scene with on the boat. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, the scene on the boat or when they're dancing and stuff. Like, you getting to know the characters and you'll remember those scenes.
Now, I do think there's an initial overreaction by a lot of people out there. I've been looking at the reviews online before I went to go see it today. And I think part of it is obviously because it's the first female lead superhero movie, right?
Yeah.
We've had female superheroes before, so obviously right now it stands, but we all know that DC and Marvel are both going to be coming out with female superhero lead movies, especially now with the success of Wonder Woman, which has really set the platform. So I think that as those movies start to roll out, how much does Wonder Woman stand the test of times in terms of how good of a movie is? It's always going to be somewhat of a blueprint because it happened first, but how much does it stand the test of time in terms of kind of just like probably like Iron Man, the first Iron Man, where it set the blueprint, but over time, it's kind of, it's gradually dropped down the list of the better, of the best Marvel movies. I still say it's one of my favorites, but, there's just been, time is going to surpass most. So that's my real question, because Captain Marvel's going to come out, and we know that Marvel usually hits with the CG and some, most of the writing. So
I don't know, man.
I'm iffy on it.
I do not like that character, man. Reading the comics, yo.
Well, she's OP, but
it's not even that. She's just lame.
Oh well, I can get that. And then you got Joss Whedon doing the Batgirl movie.
Yeah, I want to see something about that. Yeah.
You got Black Cat and Silver Sable that they're planning on doing a movie about at some point. And like I said, there's going to be other female characters.
They'll probably do Harley Quinn. You gotta bet they'll do Harley Quinn.
I've been hearing about that.
I just think that there is some overreaction because it is the first female superhero lead movie and it went great. But I think that over time, there's gonna be a movie or two that absolutely, destroy it, and not destroy it, but absolutely, blow people away, and it probably surpass Wonder Woman, because like I said, they're gonna have the advantage of time and having a blueprint to follow.
Yep. One thing I did like about the movie was, this is something Marvel don't fucking do. There was a time where they made her look powerful. Like, I hate that shit when Marvel puts Loki up there. No, not Loki. I'm sorry, Thor. He looks like a fucking weakling. Same with even Hulk. But when you see DC do some of these characters, Superman looks powerful. Wonder Woman looked powerful, especially at the end. When, as she was getting Dragon Ball Z power-ups.
This is the most powerful Batman we've seen too.
Yeah, he fucking planting dudes in it through floors and shit. Like, they make their characters look powerful, and I really like that. Just seeing her like fucking throwing dudes around, and of course, showing her the end is probably where she looked the most powerful. I mean, we can all agree on that. Just the fact that she was fighting another god, pretty much. And they went with the New 52. They went with New 52 Wonder Woman, where she's the daughter. She's pretty much a demigod. So I honestly thought, like, because she, her mother actually mentions the pre-New 52 Wonder Woman, where she was made from clay.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of threw that in there, but they essentially decided to go with the demigod. Hence, a big reason why she hasn't aged in Batman v Superman. We know now that she's a demigod.
Yep, and I think it's a little bit easier for people to grasp when it comes to why she has her powers too.
Yeah.
Whereas saying, okay, she was built out of clay and Zeus, turned her into a real life being. Versus, yeah, she's Zeus's daughter. Which it's like, okay, now I understand why she has the powers that she has. It's a little bit easier to grasp. And then it's also going to make cool for the interaction whenever Shazam comes into the comes into play. Obviously, Calvin talked about this earlier. He didn't get his powers directly from them, from the gods, but just the fact that she's Zeus's kid and Shazam has some of Zeus's powers. Obviously, it's gonna make there's gonna be that moment where Wonder Woman looks at Shazam like, how the fuck do you got my dad's powers? There's gonna be that moment. So I thought it was cool.
What would y'all rate the movie? Scale of 1 to 10.
Geez, I didn't really think about this. I think I would give it a 9. It might be a little high, but I think I'll give it a 9.
I'm going 8.5. I gave Man of Steel an 8. I know a lot of people, it's too fucking high. I like that fucking movie. But
I do too. Okay, Calvin, don't worry about it. Stop defending yourself. I like the movie too.
Underrated superhero movie.
It got
I think a lot of people
current
crap on it because it's different from the original Superman, which is why so many people crap on it. But I think it's still a good version. Like the origin story of it, I really like. There's some good parts of it. I think it's more of like a 7.5, a 7, but it's still a good movie.
But I gave Wonder Woman Wonder Woman 8.5 on my video.
Yeah, I mean, it's right up there. Would you guys put it in your? Where would you guys put it in the superhero top 10 or top 20 or top 5?
Maybe top 10.
Top 10. It definitely won't be in the top 5 for me.
It would probably be somewhere 7 or 8 for me, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely up there.
In terms of this year, though, still got Logan ahead of it.
Yeah.
That movie.
I think they're both about the same level. It's just they're both totally different.
Man,
they're totally different.
Logan will choke you up a little bit at the end.
Yeah, for me, Logan might be as close as you get to a perfect superhero movie.
Oh.
That it's going to be really difficult to top Logan. You could argue what Civil War maybe.
Civil War.
I think the thing that hurts the first Guardians is the fucking villain at the end.
Right.
But I mean, fuck, you got old man Logan fighting his younger self. I mean, just the fucking the metaphor of that and the irony of that, that is as close to a perfect superhero movie as there is. I don't think we're gonna get a better superhero movie than that, and it's just too difficult. And even Dark Knight. You know about Dark Knight and Logan for me are probably gonna be the standard bearers for superhero movies.
What do you guys think? Do you think this? Because we talked about it puts pressure on. I feel as though on a lot of female lead movies, like Wonder Woman is that blueprint of good female lead comic book movies. What do you guys think? Will it put even more pressure on these upcoming, DCEU films? Of course, Justice League comes out later this year. A lot of pressure on that. Seeing, of course, you got Aquaman, Flash next year, Cyborg, Green Lantern somewhere in the works, and at some point in the next few years. You think that this movie is gonna put a lot of pressure on? You got to follow up this movie with more good movies. I personally feel as though it does.
Oh yeah, it does. It puts pressure on all female superhero actresses at this point, and then it puts pressure on DC because, like you said, man, you got that Justice League movie, and at this point, when you're looking at the just kind of excitement for a lot of these movies, people aren't excited. People came out of Suicide Squad and Batman, versus Dawn of Justice saying, I hated these movies, So Wonder Woman, it got people excited, and then people are gonna go see Batman and Superman movies regardless, even though people have shit on Dawn of Justice and shit on Superman uncalled for, obviously with Man of Steel, because that was a really good movie, I still say. But this is the first time since what? Dark Knight. I mean, this is the first time since the Dark Knight that people have walked out of DC movies saying, "Wow, that was great."
Yep.
and I think it's elevated her status that not only with the comic book fans of these movies, who are watching these movies, but with just the casuals, because even the casual fans are going into this movie saying, "Wow, what a great movie!" Now they're invested in her. It's kind of like what happened with. I don't. It's obviously not what happened with Iron Man, because Wonder Woman was always on a higher level on the DC side than Iron Man was on the Marvel side, but. A lot of people don't know about Wonder Woman's background or any of that. They just know Wonder Woman with the flying plane. They just know her with the flying plane.
They know the character because they've seen her in the cartoons.
Yeah, that's all they know. They don't know,
They know the name. They know the logo.
Anything else. Yep. Yeah. And so, and obviously the old series, obviously Linda Carter, whoop-de-whoop. But I think this has definitely elevated Wonder Woman into that, cinematic universe wise, I think this is going to elevate her into that Batman Superman tier. Not in the comics, obviously, because Batman's the most popular ever, and then Superman is right up there too. But I think this is definitely going to elevate her a lot.
Yep. MG, I actually think she's the second most popular in DC. I think Superman's third. Just the way that he's been treated.
Out of superheroes.
I've just started to hate Superman because he's OP as fuck. But
no, in the DC universe, I think most people are behind. I think there's going to be a huge crowd for Wonder Woman now. I think that movie is going to.
But Batman has the
boost her. Batman's first, but Wonder Woman's right there. I think Superman is third, which might even help Justice League a little bit because they could
be in there. Yeah.
Yeah, because they could use that momentum. But Calvin said about the pressure of this Justice League being really good. Well, there was so much pressure on Wonder Woman to be good. Man, yeah. If Wonder Woman was bad, you could maybe say that this universe was done. But now that Justice League, people are reigniting their hopes for this franchise. Like, okay, we had a couple bad movies. There's been a couple bad Marvel movies now. That's the way people are going to look at it and be like, okay, we had a good DC movie. Now we're going to have a really good Justice League. And I think this is going to boost Justice League's numbers up huge. Like, I think this Justice League movie, there's going to be so many people at this thing. It's going to be top 5, I think, all time.
You talking in terms of box office?
Like box office numbers.
Oh yeah, it's gonna make a lot of fucking money.
But I was concerned about that before this movie came out. Before Wonder Woman, a lot of people were negative about this universe, and a lot of people were negative about Justice League. But now that Wonder Woman came out, an actual legitimately, you can say, great movie from DC, people are gonna, even the people that were skeptical about it, are gonna go see Justice League.
Well, it's the first great movie from this cinematic universe, so
they need to pile on top of
Justice League got to hit hard. Like it's got to hit like the first Avengers did, where people walked out of that saying, "Holy fuck, I can't believe this really happened." It has to, and you got to get those epic moments in that movie too, just like you did in the first Avengers movie with Thor and Hulk obviously teaming up, and Cap and fucking Iron Man teaming up at certain points, and all the little cross interactions and stuff that they did. This next movie, this Justice League movie, has to hit on that really big. And then even at that, Aquaman, because it's leading into Aquaman as well. So you got to do a good job of really introducing the people to Aquaman, because that's gonna be a big selling point for people to go see Aquaman.
Yep. And Flash, people are gonna compare it to the show, which is unfortunate.
They'll never. Okay, I'm not saying this just to be a snark, but they will never ever surpass. I'm not saying they're not going to surpass what the TV show does, because I'm going to look at them differently, but in terms of reputation, I feel like the Grant Gust version has been around for so long at this point, and people have become so attached to them that it's going to be near impossible to get people to say it's better than the TV show. You might get them to say, it was still good, but I think people just have that attachment. It'd almost be like doing a Green Arrow movie, which I know Charlie Hunnam has finally said he'd be up for, and he's a great actor. And if he did it, and that movie would be great, people are still going to look at Stephen Amell and Grant Gust as Arrow and Flash at the end of the day, regardless. There's almost nothing they can do about that at this point. So they just got to make sure that it's good, at the very least, because they're not going to erase Grant Gust as the Flash from people's minds. It's not going to happen.
But on a positive note, though, with DC, they could make those characters, if Justice League pans out like the first Avengers, they could instantly, maybe this is crazy, but they could take the lead on Marvel, because those characters, think about it, Batman's popular, Superman's already popular, Wonder Woman is gaining a huge following, The Flash already has the TV show, and if that's good in Justice League, if Aquaman is badass like he's expected to be, you're looking at a group of characters, and maybe we'll see what happens with Cyborg, but you're looking at a group of a full team that is like going to be probably universally loved. If this movie is really good, you're looking at a very strong cast of characters. Obviously, I think already Justice League, like in the history of things and comic books and everything, is probably the more recognized and bigger and more popular team anyways, like by far. But because of the movies that the Avengers did, they made their characters pretty strong. But DC has the chance of making their characters even more popular on the next level, in my opinion. In a way, because of that Flash TV show, because Flash has been so popular these last couple of years, because what the Arrowverse has done too, and then adding on to what is Wonder Woman has become. So you could see not only Batman and Superman be great, but all these other characters be great too.
The only one I'm really worried about is Cyborg.
Yeah.
Well, I'm worried about the Green Lantern too, just because that's my favorite superhero.
Are they still gonna use Hal? Are they gonna use Hal?
They're doing both.
Oh, yeah.
Man, they should do.
They're doing the Lethal Weapon space cop thing with Hal and John. So
they should just make Green Lantern Steve Trevor, have Chris Pine play.
And I think his name was out there at first too.
I know. I really wanted him to be Hal Jordan.
Yeah, he was the main character. We kept seeing him, and he was a fifth character too. Wow, that would have been great.
So, but yeah, I think Cyborg's the only one I'm worried about, just because the CG did not look good on that fucking trailer for Justice League. So,
Well, when they can fix that come Justice League.
I just don't know why they don't have Green Lantern in the first movie.
Yeah, especially over.
Is it because they need to connect to space? Is that why?
He is their connection to space, but they don't treat Green Lantern like any. They don't treat Green Lantern as one of those guys who will never get the respect he deserves, just like Thor and Hulk on the Marvel side, where they're way more powerful than they ever get credit for. But they'll never. It's going to be the same with the Flash. Flash is probably the most powerful, like in terms of what his abilities are. Probably the most powerful out of any of these people in the Justice League. But it won't come off on screen that way. They won't show it because he's not as popular as Batman or Superman, or at this point, Batman or Superman. He's not more popular than them, so they're gonna make him play the background in terms of power, because they're not gonna let him look more powerful than those two.
I think they make him look powerful, but not more powerful than those two. Nah, probably not. I mean, those are the horses right there. Well, one thing that I think DC really needs to do, to really be able to, take that step of really passing on, they need to be able to do a low tier character. And Cyborg, I would believe that would be that character. They need someone in the vein of Guardians of the Galaxy. Those motherfuckers were irrelevant before that first movie came out. No one knew who they were.
Honestly, I think it's gonna be Black Adam, because The Rock.
Yeah, but Black Adam, that's the problem with Black Adam. He's probably gonna be in 2 movies, well, 3. His solo movie.
They might put him in a Superman movie. Maybe.
Yeah, his solo Superman, and then the Shazam movie. So he's probably going to be in 3 movies. If they decide to bring him around for another Justice League movie, maybe. But problem with him is villains don't get standalones that often, if ever. We haven't seen it yet. I mean, it would set a precedent. Because we still haven't even got a Joker. We still haven't even got a Joker movie. And I don't think it's crazy to me that they're doing an actual Black Adam movie before a Joker movie. With the popularity of Joker, and especially with the outcry.
Are they doing a Venom one or no?
A what?
A what?
Are they doing a Venom one?
They are doing a Venom movie. It is in the work, but they're not making it part of the MCU though.
Yeah, it's going to be Sony thing separate.
Yeah, it's going to be completely separate. They already cast Venom too.
Yeah, Tom Hardy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bane.
That's supposed to to Sinister Six and all that.
Yeah. So it's going to be very difficult for villain, especially an unknown villain like a Black Adam. It'd be different, like Venom. People have been wanting Venom since the first Spider-Man movie back in the day, or a Joker, who obviously one of the most popular, if not the most popular superhero villain at this point. So it's going to be a task. I mean, Rock is a big draw, but it's still an unknown character for a lot of people.
Man, how did that Baywatch movie do? I wanted to ask that.
I know they're getting trashed.
I watched it. It was what I expected from Baywatch. Yeah. What do you expect from Baywatch?
Hot chicks.
There were some hot chicks. It was funny at times. There was ridiculous, over-the-top, Fast and Furious-like action.
That's not good. He said it was funny at times. That ain't good.
It was an average movie.
That ain't good.
I would say it was like a little bit, it was like a tier below like 21 Jump Street.
Oh,
Like it was the same sort of movie. It was just not as good.
Yeah, that ain't good at all. Cause I think Ice Cube being angry and funny and funny at the same time is hilarious. Like anytime he's like really angry but being funny, like when he be mad at somebody in movies, it's fucking hilarious. It works for him.
Speaking on The Rock and the Black Adam actually has a good backstory. He's pretty much the ruler of a nation, Kondak. It's actually a good story. Like, for anyone that does know his origin story, it's just, he's even less known, and his backstory is even less known than Wonder Woman's. At least people knew who fucking Wonder Woman was, just by virtue of being part of the Justice League. Now, the story, people knew probably bits and pieces of it. She was from Themyscira, but coming to this Black Adam, The Rock is definitely going to have to be the main draw, because at least Wonder Woman could go off the Wonder Woman name. This is going on essentially the actor's name. So
that's my concern too. His superhero isn't well known either. Like the casual person isn't going to know Shazam. The comic fan will, but the casual isn't going to know who Shazam is. They've never heard that name before. Yeah. Unless it was some abracadabra shit. Outside of this movie unit, comic.
That's also responsibility of DC though to get people to go to the movie, and then they can start Shazam being popular. It's the same thing with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Nobody knew who Guardians of the Galaxy was, but because it was a Marvel movie, they went to see it. Nobody knew who Ant-Man was.
Or Doctor Strange. I'm a fan of Doctor Strange, but people didn't know who that guy was.
I think the problem they're running into, though, is they're going to introduce Black Adam before they're going to introduce the villain before the hero, which has never been done before, because even if they were to do a standalone Joker movie, everybody knows who Joker is. Everybody knows who his superhero is in Batman. Or even with Venom at this point, even though he's only made that one horrible appearance in Spider-Man 3, everybody knows Venom and everybody knows Spider-Man. But you're talking about an unknown villain with an unknown superhero. We know who Shazam is, but unknown to the masses. And you're going to introduce the villain before the superhero. That's a big risk. It could be high risk, high reward type of situation.
They're really banking on The Rock.
Yeah, that's really high risk, high reward. It could turn out amazing, or it could turn out bad. It's one of the two.
I think if it would have been anyone else, they wouldn't have done this movie. But they know Rock,
Also, Rock handpicked the character because you said the story was good, right? His backstory. The Rock said he loved the backstory. That's part of the reason why he chose to be Black.
Turned down Lobo first because he had signed on to do Lobo.
Well, the bounty turned that one down.
Yeah, so I still think they're back in the lab trying to get the Lobo movie going again. But this is years before he got attached to the Black Adam. But he had agreed to do the Lobo movie, which I thought was pretty cool because Lobo's a bounty hunter. He's a space bounty hunter. But it's just a big risk with a high possible reward for this. Rock's got the name obviously, but like I said, you're introducing the movie's going to be centered around a supervillain with. Unknown supervillain with the unknown superhero. It's just not something that's been done before, so there's no blueprint or proven way to go about it yet. And and like I said, to not do a Joker movie first, it kind of tells you, kind of where the thought process has been with what these studios are really thinking about when it comes to doing these villain movies. Spider-Man, they were talking about doing a Sinister Six for a while, the Venom movie, but those characters have been established in the movies already for the most part. But just unknown, that's like I said, it could be huge or it could be horrible. It could be one of the two. I don't think it's going to be any middle ground on that. I think it's either going to be a huge success or a huge fail.
In terms of the box office, I feel as though people done got in their heads oh shit, a comic book movie come out, let me go see that. You're going to get those people. But to really,
there's some Rock fatigue going on, though.
Is it?
Yeah, at least here
a little bit.
In the States, it's starting to kick in. It's because he's doing so much, which I applaud the man for working hard. But
he's the most popular movie star right now.
Yeah, but in the States,
highest grossing one year.
Because if you look at it, this Fast, it did like 1.5
Ridiculous.
billion
Yeah,
total.
yeah.
But when you look at their numbers, their opening weekend was smaller than the last Fast movie domestically,
Yeah.
and it's still
That was because of Paul Walker, though.
well, even at that, but their total overall domestic draw is still very comparable to what the last couple of movies were. But their overall box office is way bigger than what the other Fast movies are. So that kind of tells you that the domestic audience is kind of like, another Fast movie or another Rock movie, where he's picked up a lot of fans internationally to kind of compensate for that. But I think here domestically, I think it's slowing down a little bit for The Rock. He's never going to be a small-time movie star, but I just don't think that here it's just oversaturation at this point. He's got 18 movies a year. You got to pick and choose, you know.
So
Plus Ballers.
I think the percentage was like 82% foreign.
Yeah.
And like 18% like of the total gross
For Fast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's like
Fast is huge in Asia.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah. Well, it had a lot to do with the Chinese box office too. That's usually the second biggest box office out there.
Yeah.
And they put it in this Fast. I think was in like 1,000 more theaters than any other Fast ever was. So that helps out with it too. And then obviously the huge budget and the marketing and the stars that you got in there played a big part into it. But you look at some of the Rock's movies outside of established franchises like a G.I. Joe or even the Fast series, they haven't done well unless it's been Disney related.
Well, he did huge numbers with San Andreas.
People hated that movie though. So it's kind of pick your poison with that. So
I'll tell you, I didn't like him. Like
it's
I guess
kind of pick your poison.
Hercules, terrible.
Yeah, he did that.
I hate
You know.
Hercules.
Can we discuss how cool it might be that the guy that directed Back to the Future might direct The Flash? Is that not
So
cool?
there'll be some time travel involved.
Robert Zemeckis might direct The Flash, apparently.
Oh, okay. I'm still not sold on the guy that's playing Barry.
Visually, I think it's gonna be. I think it's like from what we've seen in like the preview, the trailers and stuff like that, and kind of like the teaser clips. I think visually it's gonna be when he's in suit running around. I think that shit's gonna be fucking amazing. But Ezra Miller, he just doesn't embody Flash. Like his aura or his stage presence doesn't embody Flash to me.
I think you're trying to say what he looks like.
No. Because it's different. Because Grant Gustin doesn't look like the Flash either. But when he's acting, he embodies that. He's got that aura of he's the Flash, and I don't think Ezra Miller brings that to the table.
We'll see.
There's even like Ben Affleck. Nobody thought Ben Affleck was going to be a great Batman, and then I fucking hate Ben Affleck. I still do to this day. I've always hated Ben Affleck. So going into that, I'm like,
okay, I'll rephrase this. I wasn't sure how good he was going to be as Batman, but I was certain he would be good as Bruce Wayne, because that's basically already him.
Yeah.
I'm on a complete flip side. I like him as Batman, but not as Bruce Wayne.
Ooh. I think for me, it was the stink of Daredevil. I was like, man, get him the fuck away. I mean, I know there's been some redemption with some of these characters, some of these actors, like
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds.
But here's the thing:
Robert Downey Jr.
Ryan Reynolds embodies Daredevil. I mean, not Deadpool. Where his aura is, he's got the Deadpool aura about him. He's got that type of sense of humor, like you already know it. Or even honestly, I don't think he was a bad pick for Green Lantern. I just think the situation.
He looked like Green Lantern.
He looks like him.
The
I think he's got the
shit in that movie.
Yeah, he's got the natural comedy to be Green Lantern. I just thought the CG and the writing and literally everything moving around him was horrible.
Yeah.
Now, was his acting great in that movie? No, but he's come a long way acting wise since then. That was earlier in his career, but I think you get what I'm saying. Where you kind of have to exude that character, and Ezra Miller doesn't exude Barry Allen to me.
Well, I have to see more of him.
We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Justice League is gonna be the movie they'll tell you, so we'll know. Like the end of this year, if he is not good in Justice League, it's gonna hurt his movie.
Kind of like what's it called? I can never remember his fucking name. The dude who's playing Aquaman. He doesn't look anything like any previous Aquaman outside of what he's.
He looks like Roman Reigns.
Yeah, he does. He does. Crazy. His personal trainer is actually Mata from Tough Enough. But But when you saw that, because they're using the new 52 Aquaman, right?
Yeah, even New 52 Aquaman don't look like that. He had blonde hair.
Yeah.
But even what we've seen in the trailers, he looks like. But they're trying to do something different with Aquaman. This is what I like about what they're doing with Aquaman. They're trying to make Aquaman way cooler than what he actually is.
It embodies it though, because I mean, when you seen that first picture drop of him just standing there with the trident in his hand, it was like, oh shit, right? You got that initial reaction, and when I seen fucking Ezra Miller as fucking Barry Allen, I said, who the fuck is this dude with the bowl haircut? Flash doesn't have a bowl cut. The fucking like, you would think a dude with electricity running through his body wouldn't have straight down the size hair. Like, it just wouldn't happen, right? But
that was the same thing with me for Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker.
See, now you get what I'm saying. Where you don't
I was like, this guy's way too good looking to be Peter Parker. Like, what?
It's kind of one of those things though, where you see him for the first time and you're like, I don't know about this guy. Or like Brandon Lee Roth as Superman, right? Where it was almost he's almost too clean cut of a guy, and as clean cut of a guy as Superman is, Brandon Lee Roth is almost too clean cut to be Superman.
Yeah, he looks too like, and he doesn't look tough enough. Like, I don't know what it is.
You know, or Stephen Amell as Arrow. You know, where you look at him and you're like, okay, yeah, that's definitely Arrow. I don't look at Ezra Miller and say, yeah, that's definitely Flash. Like, I haven't got it yet. You know, or even like the guy who plays Wally West. When you seen him, when you seen they were introducing him as Wally West on the show, when you seen the initial pictures of what he looks like, because I didn't follow him before he got on the show, I said, oh yeah, he looks like he looks like he looks like a kid Flash.
Man, his accent. I didn't know he was British, and then he started talking. I was like, holy crap.
Or even what's Benedict Cumberbatch is fucking Doctor Strange. When you see him in costume for the first time, you said, wow.
You know, he kind of, if you ever seen the Sherlock show,
yep,
he kind of gives it away. Like, yeah, I could see him playing Strange.
But like,
I think that was the kind of reason why I was excited when they did announce him. The thing about the guy that's playing Momoa, playing Aquaman, like the new 52 Aquaman is fucking badass. he reminds me a lot of that. New 52 Aquaman, like, you come to the seas, you come anywhere near him, he might fucking kill you. And he gives off that right there. So
that's what we want.
Yeah.
With certain superheroes, that's what you want. The guy looks like he can kill you.
Pretty much.
I think Aquaman has the most to gain out of anybody right now, because he's still. They have a chance to completely rewrite how most people think about Aquaman, because a lot of people, like we said, man, we're comic fans, so we get it with him. You know, New 52, you know, pre-52, you know, you got the rebirth going on right now. You know, we've seen all the incarnations of Aquaman, but for a lot of people, same thing with Wonder Woman, where they only remember the Invisible Jet Wonder Woman. We got a lot of people wondering in the movie, where's the Invisible Jet, who aren't familiar with Wonder Woman and don't know
They should have made like a reference. They should have made a reference to that.
Ask about it, but you know, they're not familiar. They don't know that was only in the cartoon because they never read the comics. So, but with Aquaman, they just know him as the dude who can talk to fish, right? With the fucking green pants, with green pants with the A on the belt buckle, with the fucking shirt, tight ass shirt with the V cut in it, right? So, and the long blonde hair. So that's how a lot of people know Aquaman. Honestly, it's not.
It's just the visual.
Yeah, but so now they have but that visual connects a lot of people to how they think Aquaman really is. So now they have a chance to completely rewrite that. You know, they got a chance to make him a complete badass. He's got a great look. From what we've seen so far, imagery-wise, it's been absolutely amazing. And on top of that, because his homeworld is Atlantis, and a lot of it is going to be CG and under the sea. Visually, it could be absolutely stunning. So they have a chance to really turn Aquaman into an Iron Man type of character. They have a chance where he wasn't that known, or different impressions of him beforehand, and now he can become one of the major franchise players out there. Yeah,
I'm trying to compare him to somebody that Marvel already has, but I don't know.
Iron Man.
I would put him with Iron Man. I honestly would, because nobody gave.
He's on that cusp. Like, people know who he is, but people just don't give a shit. That's how they kind of felt with Iron Man. Iron Man was always in the comics. He was always the guy with the Avengers. But when that fucking movie came out,
exploded.
You saw kids dressed up as Iron Man. So all kinds of shit with Iron Man.
And I think the good thing about Aquaman is he's gonna hit on a lot of different demographics because you still got your
He can pass for a lot of different people.
Exactly, and you still got people out there who are gonna say, with certain superheroes, that guy, who aren't necessarily comic fans, who are gonna look at a Spider-Man and say, oh, that dude's a little bitch because he's fucking 5'10", 115 pounds, right? But with Aquaman, you got this big jacked up dude who looks like a badass, right? Who the ladies are gonna love, and the dudes are gonna look at him and be like, damn, this dude is the shit, right? And so they gotta really, and he's of a different background. He's Samoan, right? So this is gonna be outside of The Rock doing anything, this is going to be the first legit Samoan lead, right? Of a superhero movie.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a really big chance with Aquaman to turn him into a cash cow, like really big. If anything under fucking 750 million box office for Aquaman for me would be disappointing.
Ooh, that's high.
That is really high.
What Doctor Strange did, right? You look at what Deadpool did.
It was something like that.
Yeah, so I think Doctor Strange did around 750.
Deadpool had huge hype though. Yeah. I guess it depends on Justice League though. We have to wait till Justice League.
Justice League's gonna. I think Wonder Woman definitely really turned the page for him. But Justice League's gonna be the first showing of Cyborg. People are gonna see Cyborg. First showing Aquaman. We already seen Ben Affleck as Batman.
A better look at Batman.
Yeah.
Better look because we only got about a little bit.
You're gonna see. We're gonna see how this Flash is. So it's definitely gonna help set up, or it could hurt these upcoming solo movies after it.
Yeah.
We still got to see what they're gonna do with Superman. It's still a lot they're gonna do. But
Oh yeah.
We can pretty much end the video. Y'all can guys give the information and everything.
All right. I'm on YouTube, The Bottom Line View. You guys can subscribe. I do sports. I do wrestling, other stuff on there. Lots of recaps for lots of NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs, all that sort of stuff. On Twitter, I'm at Mitch Milani.
I'm on Twitter at Virtuoso Sports. I literally will talk anything on Twitter except wrestling. And
don't blame you.
You can find me on BlissSportsNetwork.com throughout the week. Obviously, that's where I'll be talking wrestling, unfortunately. But no, I also talk I'll also talk sports as well: NFL, NBA, boxing, MMA, all of that good shit. So that's where you can find me.
And of course, if you like this video, guys, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. Thanks for watching.